So I have these 5 new day hiking backpacks that I just got from REI, and today we're going to look at each of them and review and compare all these backpacks, and I want to give my honest thoughts on each one. What one's my favorite, what one's my least favorite, all that. I'll go over all the typical specs on these backpacks, so how much do they weigh, cost, what's the capacity, but I also am going to take each backpack out on the trail and give you kind of like a real life review and talk about the things that really matter when picking a backpack. That way, if you're in the market for a new backpack, maybe hearing my opinion on different features about these backpacks will help you make a better decision. I have a backpack from 5 different popular brands: Osprey, Deuter, Gregory, REI, and Hyperlite mountain gear. All 5 of these backpacks are between 20 and 22 liters of capacity, so I think that is the perfect day hiking size. And there's a great range of prices between all these backpacks. The cheapest one is $59, and the most expensive is $249. So the backpacks we're looking at today are the Osprey Talon 22, the REI Flash 22, the Hyperlite Mountain Gear Elevate 22, the Deuter Speedlite 21, and the Gregory Maya 20. Now, one of the top things I care about in a backpack is how easy the water bottles are to get out from the side pockets while wearing the backpack. We're going to test both a Nalgene and a 1-liter smart water bottle. So all of the backpacks have 2 water bottle or side pockets, but they all varied so much. The Osprey Talon has 2 side mesh pockets, and there is a compression strap going across each one. They held the water bottles very well, and it was easy to grab them, take a sip of water, and put them back when I was done. The REI Flash backpack was unfortunately the biggest disappointment when it came to the side water bottle pockets. Oh. Yeah, no, that's impossible. Try the smart water bottle, but I was initially, first look impression, really excited about these side pockets on the REI backpack because they went up really high and it looked like they really secured your water bottles in there. But because the pockets went up so high, it was virtually impossible to get the water bottle out while wearing the backpack. You would have to take the backpack off to grab a sip of water. Please let me know in the comments if you have this backpack. Have you ever been able to get the water bottle out without taking it off? Because I'm genuinely curious. I feel like that's physically impossible. The Deuter Speedlite had mesh side pockets. They held the water bottles just fine, and I was able to grab them, drink water, and put them back, no problem. The Gregory Maya had very nice side water bottle pockets. They were nice, they were secure, they were very easy to reach the bottles while wearing the pack, but these side pockets also inspired me to do this. I bet you've never seen this in a backpack review before. Nalgene passes the cartwheel test, the smart water bottle does not. The Hyperlite mountain gear backpack had very large side pockets. I liked these. And they were also the only side water bottle pockets that had their own cinch. So whenever you put your water bottles or whatever else you want to put in your side pocket, you can easily tighten that pocket while wearing the backpack and really secure everything in there. So because of these straps that really secure anything that's in the water bottle pockets, I think this will also pass the cartwheel test. Another feature I really like when selecting a day pack is looking for an outer mesh pocket or something similar to that. I use this feature to kind of stash away any extra layers that I don't need anymore. So if it warms up and I don't need my hoodie, put it in this pocket. If it stops raining, take my rain jacket off, put it in this pocket. And the reason I like putting it in the outer mesh pocket, especially the rain jacket, is because if the rain jacket is still wet, it doesn't have to go inside the backpack and get all of your other gear wet too. And because it's kept on the outside of your pack, it's also easy to reach if you do need it again. All of these backpacks did have an outer mesh pocket except for the REI Flash. I did really enjoy the Gregory and the Osprey mesh pockets because they were secure by a clip, so you can unclip the buckle, really open up that mesh pocket and fit a lot in there. The hyperlite pack also had a good mesh pocket. I feel like it was a little on the small side, but it did also have this kind of like webbing in front of it, so you can also stash extra layers underneath that webbing too if you need, or use a carabiner and hang things off of it. There's a lot of different possibilities with that. The deuter had a mesh pocket that I was really unsure of at first because I felt like there was a really small opening to it, but turns out I was able to put my rain jacket in there just fine. It wasn't too much of an issue, but it is weird that it's such a small opening. And then lastly, the REI Flash didn't really have an outer mesh pocket, but if you did need to stash any extra layers, you can kind of just strap it down under the brain, we're gonna call it, of the pack, and it is really secure if you do that. Huge thank you to Element for being today's sponsor and making this video possible. If you haven't heard, Element has the best electrolyte drink mixes on the market. If you're out on a day hike, it is so important to stay hydrated and get your electrolytes in. On really long day hikes, it's so easy to lose a lot of sodium. You lose the sodium through your sweat. And one stick of Element has a science-backed formula of sodium as well as potassium and magnesium to help replace that, to help you feeling good, and it will help your hike go so much better. When you're hydrated, you can avoid the muscle cramps, the headaches, the fatigue. You can get your energy up and have these really good, successful hikes. So if you head to drinkelement.com/Nahamsha, you can see everything they have. They have canned seltzer drinks, they have variety packs, they have boxes, they have really fun, really good flavors to choose from. My link, drinkelement.com/Nahamsha, will also get you a free sample pack of 8 different flavors thrown in with any order that you place. So I drink Element on all of my day hikes. I drink Element daily, actually, even when I'm not hiking, just because it helps me feel so good and I love being hydrated. So make sure you check them out, and thank you so much for sponsoring this video. So all the packs, when it comes to adjustability, all have kind of like the standard straps that you can adjust: the sternum strap, the shoulder straps, and the waist belt. If you are looking for a pack with load lifters, the Gregory and the Osprey also have those. Also, a feature that I thought was kind of cool with the deuter pack is the sternum strap was a little bit stretchy, so it had some give to it. So I thought that was a little different. So the Osprey and the deuter both have internal frames, and then the hyperlite, the REI, and the Gregory are all frameless packs. There's pros and cons with framed and frameless packs. I feel like the framed packs will carry the weight better. They really distribute the weight off your back into your hips, and that might be a little more comfortable if you are carrying more things. The frameless packs are a lot more minimal, more ultra light, and they could be good if you're not carrying a lot of stuff. So when it comes to the back panels of each pack, the Hyperlite mountain gear is the simplest. There's really nothing there. No mesh, no frame, no structure, no ventilation. It's just the back of the backpack. And when you have a pack like that, you kind of want to pack your gear inside the pack accordingly. So like, for instance, when I was on the AT and I had a Hyperlite pack, I would take my sleeping pad and lay it against my back just so my gear inside the backpack wouldn't kind of like stick out and poke me in the back. So with the Hyperlite, you do have to be careful of how you pack it. The REI Flash is a little bit more structured when it comes to the back panel. There is a removable foam pad. It was a little hard for me to find at first. You can take it out, and that just adds a little bit more cushion between your back and whatever's in the pack. And then one step up from the REI Flash would be the deuter. It is slightly structured. There is a little bit of foam. There's a little bit of mesh. It could give a little more ventilation than the others. But when it comes to the back panel, the Osprey and the Gregory are just on a whole nother level. So we're gonna take a closer look at these two back panels because they're pretty amazing and there's a lot of cool stuff going on. The Gregory has something called BioSync and the Osprey has something called Air Scrape. I think those terms are just like their own fancy ways of saying that it's ventilated, it's cushioned, and there's mesh that just kind of like moves and conforms with your body as you hike. So They are very comfortable. So something that I really like about these two packs, something that's important for me when taking a day pack out on a tough day hike like a New Hampshire 4,000 footer, is the fact that the waist belt and the back panel is just one unit. Like they're all together. So you can see the waist belt goes into the back and it's like nice and thick and cushioned, and it like really hugs your hips. And it has such great like support. So the fact that it hugs your hips, it takes a lot of the weight off your shoulders. And I really like that about both of these packs. I will say both of these are pretty equal when it comes to like this specific feature. It just really hugs your hips. It's really comfortable. You can tighten the waist belt and it doesn't dig into your hips at all because they are thick and wide and cushioned. With the REI pack, it is nice and wide. It is not cushioned, and it's also like not all together. The Hyperlite does have a wide and kind of cushioned hip belt, but again, it's not all together, but it is removable if you're not into hip belts. Now the worst one in this category is the deuter. This is the waist belt. If you were to tighten this, it is so thin that I feel like it would just dig into your hip. Something super unique about the Gregory back panel that I've never seen on a backpack that I've owned before is the fact that it's adjustable. So you can unvelcro this and change the height. So like that's the tallest height, and then it can tuck in and it can be a little shorter. I think I demonstrated that well. But yeah, depending on the size of your torso, this is super adjustable. And like I said, these both also have load lifters. So now let's discuss the main compartment of each backpack, how you store your gear, and the different like pockets and organization that each one offers. The Osprey, Gregory, and Deuter packs all have the classic zipper that goes up and around the top of the pack. If I'm being super picky though, the Osprey and the Gregory have better zippers. The zipper on the Deuter is kind of small, and like for instance, if you're wearing gloves, it'd be hard to zipper it, hard to like get a good grip of it. So I already went over like the outer mesh pocket on each backpack, so we're not gonna discuss that. But the other pockets that the Osprey one has, right at the top, it's got a smaller zipper pocket that's just like as deep as my hand, so you can put small stuff in there. This is the main compartment right there. It also has 2 water bottle pockets. I already went over that. Inside the main compartment, there is another small pocket for organization. This one's mesh right here, and it does zipper. This one does have 2 hip belt pockets, and it's also the only pack that I'm talking about today that has extra storage on the shoulder straps. It's a little mesh pocket, very like long and thin. It does close with a little button. This would be good if you have like 1 protein bar, your energy chews. I stored my sunglasses in this when I was testing it out, so it could be useful. None of these packs have it, but if a backpack offers a shoulder strap pocket big enough for my phone, that's a huge win in my books. So with the Gregory, outer mesh, water bottle, hip belt pockets, these I think are a tiny bit bigger hip belt pockets than the Osprey, which is good. Small zipper, shallow pocket on the outside, big main compartment, and again, a small mesh pocket inside that also zippers. All right, now we're getting a little bit more minimal with the Deuter pack. Mesh pocket, water bottles, no hip belt pockets, no shoulder strap pockets. It does have the main compartment right here that opens, and then this right here is a separate small zippered pocket that is nice and shallow, and you can kind of see the size of it because it hangs into the main compartment. So the REI flash is different than the last 3. There's no zipper for the main compartment. This one closes with just a drawstring, and then you can take this top flap and flap it open, and then this connects with 2 buckles. There is a little bit of storage inside the main compartment. There's 2 like pockets, but they're not closed with a zipper or anything, but you could put some small gear in there to organize it. The top flap right here does have a zipper though, and you can throw a lot of things right on the top of the backpack in there and close it off. This also does have a very interesting pocket that goes up the side. So this zipper goes down most of the way. This is kind of large. It goes down deep, and there is another pocket inside where you can also organize some gear. I don't honestly know how functional this is, especially if the backpack is full of gear and you have a water bottle. I don't know like how much space would actually still be left in this. I'll have to test that out because I didn't do that. So I packed the REI with some gear, also put a water bottle in the side. I have my small Daypack with some like emergency things, and I just wanted to see if it would actually fit in this side pocket. So it could. Actually, it's a little bit of a stretch. It closes. But I was also curious, I know you can't reach the water bottle pockets with this backpack while it's on, but I was curious if you could reach that pocket. Can't even find it. Yeah, no, it's not really accessible. So finally we have the hyperlite. This is a roll top closure pack, so no zipper, no drawstring. You load all the gear in and then you just keep rolling it down until you can't anymore. And then there's a buckle on either side that you buckle it down, and then there's another strap that goes over the top. It's very minimal, no extra pockets, no bells and whistles. You just have this one big main compartment, the mesh and the water bottle pockets. However, on Hyperlite's website, there's a bunch of different accessories that you can get for these. So shoulder strap pockets, hip belt pockets. There's a lot of options, but you're gonna have to pay a lot extra for those. So if you're someone who likes to use a water bladder for your hydration on your day hike, all of these packs are water bladder capable. However, none of them came with their own water bladder. You'd have to buy it separately, and they could run from $30, $40, sometimes $50, depending on the brand and the size of the water bladder. Some of these backpacks are a lot better when it comes to the water bladder situation, and some are not good. So the worst one for this category is going to be the hyperlite. There's no dedicated hydration pocket, no dedicated sleeve. All you're gonna find in this is a hook inside the main compartment along your back that you can just hang a water bladder from. The reason I do not like this is because your water bladder is just going to be in the same compartment with all of your other gear. If it were to ever puncture, to leak, everything will be soaked. And also, since the hyperlite isn't like a framed or a structured pack, I feel like you're just gonna feel the water bladder press up against your back. I don't think that's gonna be comfortable. The backpack doesn't have any ventilation or airflow to begin with. So if you're into having the hose and drinking your water that way, I don't recommend the hyperlite. Now, the best backpack for using a hydration bladder is going to be the Gregory. This is because it's the only backpack that there is a whole separate dedicated zippered pocket just for the hydration bladder. I don't like saying that word. It is super easy to load the hydration bladder in, take it out, even when the backpack is full of gear. It's a nice big wide pocket. The only thing that's maybe not good about the Gregory is that it has a specific clip. So it is recommended that you get a Gregory branded water bladder. However, I have a HydroPack bladder and I was able to clip it on. It's just not as compatible because Gregory's got their own little like clip system. The Osprey was nice when it came to hydration. It just wasn't perfect. Some of the reviews I read on this online said that it was kind of hard to put the hydration bladder in and out because it's right behind your shoulders and the opening like isn't that great. I personally didn't have a huge problem, but I understand where people are coming from when they say that. The REI pack and the deuter pack were also good when it came to this category. There is a separate sleeve inside the main compartment for the hydration bladder. It's not completely mixed up with all your gear. There is a designated spot for it, but because it's in the same pocket with all your gear, I understand it would be a little bit more tough to load and unload it when the pack is full of gear already. I also want to note that all 5 of these backpacks do have a spot to store your trekking poles. They all have like a little loop system going on. I personally don't use that feature, but it's there with all of them. That's good if you're interested. I also wanted to include in this comparison review video if any of these backpacks were good to jog with. Just a silly test that I wanted to try out. So I did do a quick jog with each of these packs. I didn't notice any pack a lot better or worse than any of them. None of them bounced too much. But yeah, you can see in these videos that I did jog with each of them. So now we're gonna go back to the trails so I can give you my final thoughts, first impression, after hiking with each of these backpacks for the first time. I find the Osprey pack really comfortable. My favorite thing about it is how the hip belt connects with the back of the backpack. It is nice, thick, really cushioned, and it just really hugs my hips well. And because of that, it just like fits my body, and I think it could carry a lot of weight. So if I was out on the trail for a really long time and I really had a heavy backpack for the day, I feel like it would carry the weight well and it would take the weight off my shoulders. So that's my favorite part. I also think the hip belt pockets are the perfect size to stuff a few protein bars and snacks like that in, so I can hike and fuel myself at the same time on the long day hikes. I do think this is a very minimal pack. There's not as many pockets, not as much bells and whistles as the other ones. Literally no whistle. This is the only pack without a whistle attached to the sternum strap. I do like this pack, but I think it's better for shorter hikes. This wouldn't be my first choice to take on an all-day, like strenuous 4,000 footer hike, just because I don't think it could carry the weight as well as the other backpacks. The hip belt is so thin that when you tighten it, it can kind of squeeze your hips in an uncomfortable way. And if you carry a lot of weight, you want to tighten the hip belt to kind of distribute the weight. So I think this is good if you're not carrying a lot. If you're doing a shorter hike, it is called the speed lite. So I feel like that's what it's for, like quick hikes that you don't have to bring much on. For me personally, I won't hike with this backpack, but I do want to try to think of something positive about it. If you are someone who hikes and prefers to take breaks during the hike and like actually take a rest and drink your water and have a snack and do that every so often during your hike, this could be a good pack for you. But if you are like me and you like to hike and drink and just be on the go, it is not very convenient at all. I do really like this backpack because of how familiar it is to me. I have like over 3,000 miles with a backpack very similar to this. I would also 100% choose this backpack for a day hike if I think that it's going to rain, because I think that this is definitely the most waterproof. It is made out of DCF, whereas the other ones are made out of nylon. I also love how just like customizable it is with the daisy chain, being able to hang things off of it, the different accessories that you can get from Garage Grown Gear. On my through hike, I had my phone pouch and I also had a separate water bottle pouch, which was really nice because I would always kind of have like my mixed drink on the front and then plain water behind me, which was easy to reach. Also, because of the fact that this is a roll top closure type of backpack, I feel like it can expand its size much bigger than the 22 liters that they advertise. So I feel like it can just fit a lot more in that big open pocket. So I feel like this would also be very good hiking in the winter because it can fit your extra winter gear, and you can also strap stuff on the top, on the back. When I went hiking last week and took my snowshoes, this was the pack I chose because that strap that goes over the top, I could easily put my snowshoes right on top and strap it down. I don't have anything so far that I dislike about this backpack. This is the first Gregory backpack that I've ever owned, and I am such an instant fan. I love it. The side water bottle pockets are perfect. The fact that I can attach this to hold my phone while I hike, love. It is so adjustable. It hugs my hips so comfortably. In fact, that the weight of this backpack, my hips are carrying it so much that I feel like there's absolutely no weight on my shoulders. So I feel like this is good for a long hike. And honestly, this is making me want to go out tomorrow and hike a 4,000 footer. This is like, just this backpack alone is getting me so motivated to hike. So this video took me so long to actually finish. Reviewing, researching, testing 5 different backpacks was a lot more time consuming than I thought. I was originally gonna post this video last week, but there was just so much to do, honestly. I never ask this, but feel free to hit the like button if you enjoyed, if you found this helpful. We can try to get this video out to more people who are maybe in the market for a day pack. Also, if you are interested in purchasing any, all the links are in the description. And if you use any of those links, it's a huge help to me. I really appreciate it. And that's all I got to say. If you have any thoughts on these backpacks, feel free to leave them in the comments so other people can read and see reviews and see some other different perspectives. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.